Okay, Letterkenny Cleaner Community Campaign, they launched their action plan for this year last weekend in Greenland Theatre and invited residents associations and just individuals who have an interest in keeping the town or their area of the town clean and tidy. And as always, they got a great response. They always do. And it's partly it's about the people behind the campaign. It's also the campaign itself. I mean, we all want to sort of keep where we live fairly neat and tidy, but they're very proactive as well. Now, Jared McCormick is a joint chair of Letterkenny Tidy Towns, and Jared now joins us in the studio. Good afternoon, Jared.
Good afternoon, John.
Right, it's a big plan. To me, it looks like an ambitious plan. There's a lot in it. You've a very meaty brochure here.
It's a meaty brochure, yes,
shall we say? But
yeah.
in essence, it's about keeping the town looking well, and the town is looking well. But I suppose the idea is to keep it that way.
That's right. Yeah, it is. It's you were talking about the town looking well. And believe it or not, it is the basic part of the competition, but it's not the complete part of it. There's also sections like biodiversity and I know you had Angus Kennedy on here a couple of weeks ago, and all the knowledge that he has and about how we look after the environment and what type of flowers do we grow and how do we look after our environment so that we can have a successful pollination plan for our area. We also have a section on sustainability, and sustainability, as anybody knows, is there's no start and no end to sustainability. So there's a lot of parts to it.
There is a lot of parts to it, and I suppose if you're serious about it, you have to consider all those parts. It's not just a case of organising groups to go out and pick up some litter at weekends. It's much more than that.
What you're talking about, that's an extremely important part of it, and it is. I'd really like to say that all our volunteers and all the work that they do, and our whether it's litter volunteers or gardening volunteers, that is the core of what we do. But it is also all encompassing a lot of other things as well. So it's probably the largest community competition in the country. So it's all encompassing basically.
Okay, well, part of it's about the competition, but the other part is just about pride, I suppose, in the town and pride in your environs.
It is, yeah. I think, we have about 18, 20 people on our committee, and we're all different people from different parts of the town, we're all very different, but there's one thing at the centre of it. We want our town to look well, and that's, when we go to our meetings, we tune into that, and it's that sets the standard of that's why we're all there, so, and all our volunteers that help out, they're all looking for the same thing. They want their town looking well.
You mentioned there about biodiversity and nature and how important it is, and also a big part is landscaping, the green spaces and landscaping, and it's. I have to say that Letterkenny, to me anyhow, punches above its weight, if you like, and I'm just thinking about even the roundabouts, the approaches to the town. The roundabouts are very, very important because they form people's visitors' first impression. And they look really good every year.
And I think we really, sometimes the council takes flack for different things around the county and on this show, or not this show, but in the radio and media. And
sometimes
when we're
talking,
and possibly, but I have to really, if you look at what we've done there, and the roundabouts in particular, they're the shining example in our town. And, the planning on them go back 20, 30 years. And, there's one man really, and I don't know if I would like to name him, but David Donnelly, our town gardener, is responsible.
His name keeps coming up.
Yeah, he's responsible for a lot of that because it's his vision and it's his drive that creates that. And I think a lot of towns large towns that do well in the Tidy Towns competition, they may have a river going through it, or they have a castle, or they have some focal point. But we don't in our town. So, they had to create create something that's going to catch the eye, and the roundabouts was one of those in our town for sure.
Well, they're looking well, and they always do, and each of them different.
Each of them different. Yeah, they all have their own personality nearly. Yeah.
I just want to highlight a couple of parts to this plan, and really this is for businesses. One of them is Paint the Town, and this is an initiative to get businesses to think about the exterior of their building and the outside and the approaches to their building.
Yeah, like I mean, I have a business owner myself, and you know, every year we're really painting our front to freshen it up, and you know, as a business owner, you have a painter, and the painter comes in, and the first question they ask you is, what colour do you want? Mm-hmm. And generally, if it's like me, I just go a little bit cold and go panic it, but I have no idea.
Same as last year.
Same as last year. And in your heart, sometimes you just want to change it, but you don't know how to. So, I mean, really, we're maybe going. This is initiatives going since 2015, and really a huge credit to La Maison, the down in Grand Canal Road there. Yeah. They're very helpful. They've been with us day one, and you know,
they're on board as
they're
consultants.
on board. They come on board. So like we have now we've done a little bit of promotion. It's on our Facebook site, so the thinking being that if you're in business in the town and you're looking to paint your building and you would like a little bit of advice on it, you just make a little application go onto Facebook, and it'll tell you how to do that there. It's very, very simple. The message basically ends up with me, and I will put you in touch then with Anne and Claire in La Maison, and they're brilliant. And what they do is they will get together anybody who has expressed an interest. They will pool all them together and they will try and meet them. And what they will do is they will give you maybe 3 options for your front of your building. And the thinking being that, you know, when you go to some towns and you'll see there's a nice colour scheme there. And so it's trying to create a uniform, nice colour scheme that works through the town as you go through it.
Yeah, for maybe a section of the town, or maybe the overall for the town, like in general, I should say. So rather than everybody doing their own thing.
Yeah, well, it's
all part of the big picture.
All part of the big picture, but you know, ultimately the owner, you know, the owner has the response. You know, they have the ultimate decision, the say in what they want. You know, so generally the Anne or Claire will meet them, and they will give them to, you know, talk about what they want and what you know, what their thoughts are, and then they'll come with 2 or 3 types and of 2 or 3 options that you can present to the painter. And even John Watson from Watson Hire, he's come on board and said he'll give a discount on the paint. So you know, it's a community thing. It's when you reach out to the community and you're saying, look, we're trying to improve the standards in the town. And generally, when we ask, when we went to those 2 people, and they all went, yes, we're glad to help. We'd love to help, and you know.
So it's tapping into resources that are available in the form of advice and then a reduction on materials.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Right. It takes the stress out of a lot of people, you know.
The other part of this is something called the clean sweep, and this is again about the exterior or maybe the approaches to businesses.
Yeah, we're just encouraging. It's a very simple thing. We encourage shop owners and business owners to look outside their street and you know, just keep it, you know, keep your shop front on the pavement. Just I know, and in fairness, we have Glenard Plant that comes in, you know, 7 days a week. We have our own community employment scheme lads who come in, and they'll do a litter pick through the town every day. But if anybody knows Letterkenny, it can be clean, and then it can just needs a little bit of a clean again. So it's just an encouragement to you know, to business owners, say, to keep an eye on outside their premises and maybe trying to keep it clean. That's all it is.
But really, it's a collective effort, because you mentioned there, Glenard Plant and businesses and individuals, and then you know, people gathering rubbish maybe at weekends and stuff, and it all adds up to the same thing. It's about keeping, you know, the town and the environs clean and tidy.
Yes,
as best we can.
That's right. That's exactly. It's a cumulative effect. Everybody does a little bit. One of the committee has created an idea, and it was through sustainability, and it was Ailish Kennedy who joined us this year, and it's called the Power of One. And when she kind of presented it to us, and I said, you know, what does it mean, you know? And she said, well, if we take responsibility for ourselves, of what, you know, in our environment and just in where we are, and if enough of us do that, we can make a huge difference. You know, so that's something that we're looking to launch now in the next couple of weeks. This idea of power of one. It's just a very simple idea.
Yeah, and effective. Yeah. If there's somebody listening in now and they live in the town or near the town and they're thinking, well, you know, I don't really do anything. Maybe I could play a small part. What would you say? Where should they go to? What should they check out? Where should they go to? Who could they contact? Or what should they do?
Okay, I suppose there's different things that people can help out with. I think there's a very visual one that happens at 10:30 every Sunday morning. We have one of our committee members, Neil Blockley. Neil is there at 10:30 in the Market Square, hail, rain or shine, and he's brilliant. And he coordinates a huge amount of volunteers.
Going in different directions with bags and pickers.
Yeah, and some people will want to do their own route.
Yeah.
Some will come to Neil and look for direction. Some want to do it on their own bat. Some of them like the direction that Neil gives. Neil coordinates them all, and he has them on WhatsApp, and he spends all Sunday and he communicates with everybody, and he's brilliant. You know,
important role.
Oh, it's extremely important. He just. If you meet Neil and if you talk to Neil, he loves it, and he's very personable, and the amount of people have come, and he's a great addition to. So, you know, if you're on the square at 10:30 on a Sunday, there he'll be working. He has his table, and so that's one option that some people.
If you're around the town on a Sunday morning or even through the day, you can't but see the volunteers out doing their bit. In different areas.
We pick Sunday because that's the day that people are kind of generally free, and there's other options as well, John. You know, we hope to. We had an attempt at it, but the weather got in the way of it. To try and create a volunteer system for gardeners. You know, so as the weather improves, we hope that we'll be able to put a message out on social media that be here in such a time, and only talking about for an hour. You know, it's not a big, you know, and it's not going to be any huge heavy lifting or anything like that.
Just lend a hand in green areas, is it?
Yeah. We've picked out different green areas that maybe they're just not being got. That haven't really been, they've been missed, or we've identified, and we would like to give it a bit of TLC.
They haven't been shown any love.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Right. So keep an eye out on socials, and Facebook or whatever for info on that. And I suppose Facebook is a good place to go to keep up to date with what's happening day to day.
I mean, we've Anne Louise looks after Facebook, and there's constantly stuff happening there all the time. And even like if any gardeners out there, we have. Last year we did our first like a seminar or a talk. We got an expert in to talk. So we've two coming up this year. Do you mind if I talk about them? Or we've one coming up now next Tuesday. Angus Kennedy, who no stranger to this show.
No, indeed.
So Angus is coming in. He has a great show. Where he's talking about garden birds through the seasons, looking at some of the sounds. Some of the lost sounds that used to hear that was very common in the Irish landscape. That's
able to identify certain.
Yeah. So that's coming up now, Tuesday the 18th. Well, it's not. There will be a gardening slant on it. It's not fully gardening, but the following one we have on the 2 weeks later, on Tuesday the 2nd of May. We have a lady called Joanne Butler who's a community gardener, and she's going to come and do a talk for about an hour on kind of designing a garden around suitable for pollinators, and then working with the elements of Donegal, because sometimes Donegal can be a little bit harsh place compared to other areas of the country. So her slant is going to be on what's suitable for our environment, and how you can design your garden, and what best plants to grow, and how to provide food and shelter for whether it's whether it's butterflies or whether it's small, whatever is. I'm not giving the talk, so I can't answer exactly, but it's along that line.
No, but Joanne's wonderful and very knowledgeable.
Yes,
and will give the right advice and as you say, the appropriate advice for where we are.
So I think if people are of an interest, a lot of, a few years ago, if somebody had talked to you about biodiversity and the importance of having a balance in the environment, a lot of us, when I use that word, a lot of me, myself, I wouldn't have been that sure of it. But I think as a community or as a society, we're learning a lot more about it, and I definitely have learned a lot the last couple of years, and I actually find it quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think we're learning as well that we need to take responsibility, and we each need to do a bit. It might just be a small bit, but we need to take this seriously and do our bit.
Yeah.
And two good talkers coming up then next week with Angus, and then 2 weeks' time with Joanne. In the meantime, online to the website or your socials, if anybody wants to find out about what Letterkenny Tidy Towns is doing or what's in this action plan.
Yeah, most stuff is on Facebook. All those 2 talks, everything's on Facebook for there, and it's a free ticket.
Free ticket, but nonetheless, you do have to register.
Yes.
Right. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you very much, John.